But we know what Page sounds like, and he started talking as soon as this match was over. We're already 20 minutes deep in the fucking program, and now he's going to cut a promo. And I swear to God, I wrote this down. He said, because he makes up these grand sounding dramatic promos in his head, and he delivers them in the same scowling, mean fashion. But he said, I did not spill a gallon of my blood to win the title just to have MJF change the stipulations of my matches by threatening immolation. And then he mispronounced immolation, and nobody got it because I don't think they knew what immolation was anyway. Crickets. They didn't even know it was the end of the fucking sentence. What did he say? Instead of saying he threatened to set Mark Briscoe on fire, he had to fucking deliver the goddamn sick. Patty Shaevsky would have been proud of this dialogue.
No, he
in
wouldn't
his
have.
head.
No, he wouldn't have. He was a good writer. He knew how to write a screenplay.
In Adam Page's head, he would have. Immolation, by the way, the threatened immolation of Mark Briscoe. So then he saved it by stealing some of my material. He called Don Callis a phallus-headed dumbass. But when he did, he put so much venom into phallus-headed dumbass with all the words that he accidentally spit his gum out and bounced off his fucking chest, and a drool fucking oyster came out and stuck in his beard. And then he keeps talking, but all I can see is the drool bubble. I swear to God. And then they play the music. And here comes Kyle Fletcher. And have they shaved his head again? Why did his head, his head looks 3 sizes smaller than it used to? Is it because he didn't have his big video game warrior, the bonnet and sundress on with the thing? Is his head always that small?
Maybe because you're seeing less neck because he's wearing suits now and he has his collars up.
But no, still his hair was shorter than ever. He's wearing librarian glasses. He's coming out wearing librarian glasses like he's a goddamn 14-year-old bookworm staying after school. And his head is shaved. He's got a peanut head. He was wearing a suit that at least he's trying to dress up instead of these nitwits that come out in their jogging pants or whatever, but it looked like he was ready for his high school yearbook picture. And then they let him talk because they're trying to elevate him into a pay-per-view main event attraction. But when he talks, he sounds like a fucking Australian Alvin the Chipmunk. I swear to God, if it wasn't, you would think he's a 12-year-old with some kind of pituitary issue that's made him 6'3" and 200 whatever pounds. But facially and vocally, he's got a manager that did none of the talking for him, because the whole thing about this is that Page did the whole rehearsed promo about how Kyle's got all this potential. You know what I see when I look at you? I see myself 6 years ago, dreaming and hoping. And I'm like, oh, holy shit. And but I wasn't ready then, and you're not ready now. And then Kyle comes back at him again, looking like a 12-year-old with chemotherapy. And he's screaming at Page that I'm ready to be the world champion right now. But he'd be carded at the bar. So Page agrees to give Kyle a title match at the big pay-per-view if Kyle will do it all himself and promise not to have the manager out there and the Stooges out there and fight him. So basically, This was the equivalent of Dusty Rhodes being the world champion and telling Flair, okay, I tell you what, if you promise to leave JJ and Tully and Arn in the back, I'll believe you and I'll give you a title match.
You remind me so much of myself.
You remind me so much of myself. And of course, old Kyle gave him his word, man on man. But they both, at the end of this thing, that weird thing that Paige does now, Kyle did it too, where they say the AEW Men's World Championship. Like somebody's going to confuse and think that Kyle's going to fight Mercedes Moon. But they also, I think it's some weird thing that Paige has because he's weird like that he wants to somehow verbally put the women's title on the level of the men's title, which is preposterous. Even if you're a fan of women's wrestling, the world title is the men's title. Sorry. And you're just being an idiot when you're the men's world champion and you're in the main event and you're trying to put anybody else's belt on a level of yours, much less to be sexually equal. Which I have a feeling that may be the only way Paige ever will be sexually equal to anybody. This was 30 minutes into the fucking program, Brian. 30 minutes. We had to watch Paige botch through a match with a guy that never wins anything and then have a fucking promo with a guy that sounds like he's fucking 12 on helium. And I said last week, Kyle has all the tools and he's got a lot of potential and he can do moves. But I said then that he should, get in the NXT training program to learn how to think about the business. And I've rethought that because, to be honest with you, there's 100 guys in NXT. Kyle needs an OVW. Kyle needs a wrestling school where they have people who know how to fucking think about the wrestling business at the top and like 30 guys. And where there's a structure and where everybody gets a chance in one market without being seen by all the prying eyes around the world. To fucking be on the bottom of the card, in the middle of the card, and then the top of the card, be a baby face and a heel. Personalized instruction because he's a special student. He's a lot better physically and athletically than almost anybody who wants to get in the wrestling business. He's learning nothing mentally, and he will never be a main event guy to match his physical potential unless somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing with wrestling books him, instructs him, takes him under their wing. So the longer he is here, the more he's going to think that any of this shit is the right way to do it. And that's what's going to hamper him from ever reaching his potential. I yield the floor back to my colleague.
He's still one of the younger guys there. And when you think of the younger guys there, or at least the guys that look young, he look-wise, physically, is the most ready for a WWE system. He noticeably got into much better shape since he signed full-time with AEW. They got him with Callis. The Callis group, in my eyes, is just a complete joke you can't take seriously. He shaved his head in the ring. He had the feud with Ospreay, his former friend. And then they had those crazy matches. He stands out in AEW because he's tall and he's in shape and he could do stuff. But he's doing his own stuff, obviously, because producers don't matter over there. But also, there's no one else that kind of looks like that. Daniel Garcia, Wheeler Yuta, Jack Perry. Think of the younger guys or the guys who look young, who they've signed and put a lot of time into, who still just don't look like TV wrestlers. It's a very cosmetic injury. It's a very cosmetic industry, is what I meant to say. Kyle has the look, but right now he's working the indies. That's what you got to look. AEW is like you're working the indies for the next 3 years, and then I'm sure he'll do all the things he has to do.
And the thing is, he's got more than the look. He's able to pick people up and put them down and move himself around safely and all these things. He just can't put the things together because nobody's taught him how to think about it. And it's the video game style of wrestling that, people get bored with. And that's why we're seeing what we're seeing. It's hard to keep booking it because how do you ever do anything different? And it's hard to keep watching it because how do they ever do anything different? Anyway, moving on to do something different. What?
Jim,
what are you going to say?
I paused the TV in the background, the news I had on CNN, and there's some breaking news here I thought I should break in with.
Oh, boy.
Nurse does CPR to revive drunk raccoon in Kentucky. This is national news. Now, again, it's towards the end of the hour when they get the wacky news stories. And have you seen this story locally? Is this a big deal?
No, I have not. But what do you know the town in Kentucky?
This woman is doing CPR on this raccoon.
It had to be the eastern part of the state. The raccoon got into a still.
Fletcher County.
There you go.
Where's that?
It's in the eastern part of the state. It's down south and a little bit to the east. I can't give you exact mileage from here, but
yeah, she's doing chest compressions, and she just tried to breathe air into its mouth. Does it come back to life? I guess
did it make it? Good.
Otherwise,
good.
This would be a really depressing us.
Because that's been a thing going on. The raccoons don't want to drink. It's forced on them when the stills are out in their neck of the woods.
Is this something not that but this has happened regularly? Like animals get drunk and pass out in Kentucky?
Well, if they find a still in the woods, it's not just limited to Kentucky, but that sort of thing does happen here on a more regular basis than. But yeah, boy, think about a drunk bear. Think what might happen there. He might be writing the next episode of AEW Dynamite.